just straight up, it doesn't apply to me. It doesn't apply to me because I'm not in Alabama. Cells are ugh, this is so upsetting. Just processing through it is upsetting. I'm Erica, also known as E.MoniQue, and this is my real life. Hang out with me as I side-eye the ups and stumble through the downs. Watch as I turn my tiny piece of the Arizona desert into a tropical oasis. Fight to beat infertility and figure out where I fit as an artist in this crazy creative world. All while awkwardly discovering my authentic self. I'll be talking out loud about the things I wish someone would have said a while ago and sorting through what I wish I didn't know. Who knows? Maybe you can relate, as I often ask myself. Hey y'all. Let me preface this with this. And I feel just so weird. I feel strange. I feel strange. And by now I should have learned my lesson. I'm tired of learning the hard way, okay? So what I mean by all of this is I'm on the 5th day of a new birth control. And I just want to say that I haven't been on birth control since 2021. And I was only on it temporarily. Like, I took it until I had my surgery, my first surgery. And then after that, I took it for, I don't know, maybe a couple months, maybe 2 or 3 months. And then I had my first surgery. And then after that, we decided that we were going to start trying and looking into IVF and that whole thing. So I literally have, I checked the other day. I checked the other day and I had like 3 or 4 brand new packs of birth control called Gemily. Weird names for this shit. Gemily. I had 4 brand new packs that I had gotten but never used, and they're expired because they're from 2021. So anyways, I say all that to say I have not been on birth control since 2021. I'm really sensitive to medication, which is why I try to do my best to not take any unless I absolutely need it. My medicine cabinet is full of medications that I just have not finished because they're just too strong for me. That includes Benadryl. Like, everything is just, it affects me very quickly and efficiently. So I'm on the 5th day of this new birth control, which I was eager and anxious to get on because, one, I am not really ready to deal with my periods again. And these first few periods are expectedly going to be the worst after the loss. So I've already experienced one and I'm good on it. Like, I don't want to have another 2 or 3 like that. So, and then at the same time, I asked this new doctor to put me on something that's going to stop me from ovulating. That way, I can preserve as many eggs as possible for when I am ready. Because like I said, I don't know when I'm going to be ready this year. I keep saying this year, but I don't know. Like I'm getting the information gradually, but I'm not hopeful that I'm going to start within the next few months. So in between time, I don't want to be having a period every single month, losing an opportunity. So she put me on this, and I don't know why there are 5 million different types of birth control. I could not tell you. I don't know the answer to that. I tried Googling this particular birth control, and it's called Blissovi. Never heard of it. It sounds like the same as the other shit that's out there. I Googled it, and the first 2 times, because this is like my 3rd time Googling it last night. The first 2 times, I didn't really find that much information on it, just that it's a birth control, blah, 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 prevents pregnancy, blah, blah, blah. Typical hormonal side effects could occur, blah, blah, blah. Just nothing. So I was like, all right, well, let me hurry up and get on this. I started it while I was coming off my first period after the loss. So I started it then, and this is like my 5th day. And I'm noticing some things very quickly, and I feel crazy because it's like, you've only been taking it a few days. Like, these things can't possibly be kicking in already. First thing that I've noticed is that I'm gaining weight. Which doesn't bother me. Like, I would prefer to have a little meat on my bones. I don't like being too thin. It scares me. I don't really like the way that I look, except for like my face. When my face is thin, then that's something else. But I don't really like to be too thin. I like to have a little meat on my bones. But because I'm noticing weight within the first few days, it's scaring me because this is happening fast. It's like I haven't even gone through the first month yet before I'm already starting to gain weight. And I don't know if it's water weight. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But I'm noticing that. In fact, I'm wearing slacks right now that are usually always too big for me, way too big. And I put them on this morning and they fit very nicely. So that's another way that I know. I was already a little bit higher than my average in weight when I had my last appointment. When did they measure? Oh, God. What is it? February? Yeah, the beginning of February, when I had my first appointment during the loss weeks, they weighed me and I was a little bit heavier than my average, which was fine because that's, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if that really counts because it's like give or take 5 pounds. But usually the give or take 5 pounds is a little bit lower than where I was when I went in. So I was on the slightly heavier side when I went in already. So, and I don't own a scale. I'm not the kind of person that needs to weigh myself every day. I don't want to get into that habit. So I don't know where I'm at right now, but I can tell a difference in my clothes, and I can tell a difference just by looking at myself in the mirror that I've gained a little bit more, which whatever. My thing is, I don't want to keep gaining a little bit of weight very fast and then like I'm out of control of it, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm not going to stop eating. I need to eat. In fact, I noticed that usually I can maybe skip 1 or 2 meals. If I have one large meal, I can skip 1 or 2 meals and I'll be okay. Lately, it's like if I skip 1 meal or have a really light meal, my whole body just starts feeling like it's going to go into shutdown mode, like sleep mode. That's how I was feeling yesterday and this entire time. And so I've been eating, I don't know how to explain this. I've just been feeling really, really weird. My digestive has been off, but I really think that is because I went and had those spicy ass tacos over the weekend. They were good, but they were spicy. I don't eat super, super inferno spicy food typically, and I think that was a lot for my stomach. And so that messed me up for a few days. What else? Yeah, I was messed up for a few days, and then it's Tuesday. Sunday and Monday I lost a bunch of like water weight. No, I don't know what I'm saying. Girl, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know how to explain what's going on with me right now, but I know it has something to do with these motherfucking birth control pills that I don't know anything about. I Googled them again last night to see what else they could possibly be doing to me, because I've been feeling weird. I've been having weird like symptoms that are not my norm. And when I Googled them for the third time last night, all I saw was terrible reviews. 53% of women who have taken Blisovi hate it. That more than half of patients that have taken this consistently hate it and have had severe side effects. Severe. And so I'm just reading through the reviews to see what people are experiencing. They're like, each one of them were like, I gained 20 pounds really quickly. My acne got worse. My mood swings were crazy. It ruined my relationship. All of these things. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh, the fatigue. Just like all the things. And I'm like, oh, people have been so sick that they were like sick to their stomachs. And I'm like, that's crazy. High anxiety, high depression. And I'm like, why would this doctor put me on this when I specifically told her that I'm concerned about my mood swings as my hormones go up and down and try to balance themselves out? I'm concerned about that. Can you give me something for that? And she was just like, oh, a doctor isn't going to prescribe birth control for mood swings, and a psychiatrist isn't going to prescribe birth control for mood swings. So we'll put you on it for the X, Y, and Z reasons, and we'll just see how it goes. We had that conversation. So why would, out of all of the different birth controls, why would she choose this one where it's been known to make people go fucking crazy? Or is it one of those things where it's like, if you're not already crazy and you get on it, it's going to make you crazy? And if you're crazy already and you get on these crazy pills, then it's just going to level you out. That's what I'm hoping it's going to do, because otherwise this doesn't make sense. And so far, this new doctor with these medications, I'm not feeling it. Like, are you listening? Like, there is no rhyme or reason why. Like, I don't know. I just want to know what made her pick this out of all the birth controls. Just in general. It could be something else. I just want to know, like, what about this one with this new funky weird name is going to be the best for me? Because on Google, I'm not really finding the answer as to what makes this so much better or different than anything else. I'm saying all this to say that I'm not experiencing mood swings. I'm kind of like meh, not in a bad mood, but not super enthusiastic, excited. That's not me anyways. But I'm just kind of like meh, especially compared to a couple weeks ago when my period was coming and I just felt rage, like just rage. I could not control myself for no reason. I know specifically that was my own body. Those were my own hormones fucking with me. With this, I'm on this, I just feel like meh, which I'll take. Because I can willfully push myself into being on closer to the side of being on a better mood. Like if I'm just meh, I can kind of talk myself into, hey, maybe just lighten up a little bit or whatever. that this is easy for me. But what is bothering me is I feel lethargic, almost like tired, like zombie tired. And I don't know if it's the birth control. I don't know if it's my body struggling with all the loss that I've encountered or experienced or gone through this past 2 months. Because my poor body, I feel so bad. I feel so bad for my body, and I want to do whatever I need to do to fill it back up and nourish it and take care of it, because January was a bitch. Losing the pregnancy in January was a bitch. It didn't happen in a day. It didn't happen in a few days. It took weeks. It took weeks. And then to turn around and have my first period the following month, which was, I won't say as severe as the miscarriage, but pretty damn intense. The most intense that I've experienced in a really long time since before my surgeries. So back-to-back losses like that, I feel like what I have been attempting to do thus far is nowhere near enough to replenish myself. And so it could be that this lethargic feeling that I'm experiencing this week is just coming off of back-to-back intense losses. It could also be the hormonal fluctuations. It could be this new medication. I just want to sleep, but at the same time, like, I'm having trouble sleeping. Oh, cute little baby. Oh. Okay. There's a lot going on. I'm at my favorite lunch spot at the park. Everybody is here parked. Oh, they left. There was like hella people here when I pulled in, just sitting and having lunch. But more than half of them left. Anyways, and there's people walking their dogs and their babies and stuff. Anyways, what I'm saying is, I just feel really weird. Like, yesterday I went to visit someone, and I was concerned that I might fall asleep on the way home, on the way driving, because I was just so tired. I even took a few sips. I know this is bad, and I felt bad doing it, and I'm not going to do it again for a long time. I took a few sips of energy drink, and because I knew I was going to have a long day and a long night, I took a few sips of energy drink, and that didn't help me. I mean, it made me stay up, but I was still like tired the entire time. And then we ate dinner, and that made me feel a lot better. And then I don't know, I feel like a zombie. That's all I can say. But really what I wanted to like talk about is how I'm feeling emotionally also. I've been a little emotional, not like my standard just all out bawling randomly. I've just been kind of I don't know, just missing. Like, I'm missing, and I know I've mentioned this before, but I'm missing my babies, which is a weird feeling and a weird thing to say, considering like I didn't get to meet them, but I miss them. I've never, and I'll talk to Jackie about that today for sure, but I miss my babies. I think about them often. I'm emotional in the sense of like cute things or loving things kind of make me emotional or like tear up a little bit or what have you, but like nothing crazy. That's just one thing that I've noticed recently, is that I have waves of like missing them. And then first and foremost, actually, is this whole Alabama ruling, as it pertains to IVF and embryos being considered children, being considered lives. And I'm kind of like in a really weird place with that. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's bringing it up to me, and they feel sorry for me. They feel bad. And this is just one of those reactions, I'm sure, where people know what I'm going through and they know what's going on in our country, and they put the two together, and they don't know what else to say. They just know that somehow they might be associated with one another, and they just want to say something. And so people have been saying that they like feel bad for me because they can't imagine what I'm going through or like my thoughts on it and all the things. And that's a little bit confusing for me. And I'm just like processing out loud. Like I've not really processed this out loud with anyone. I've kind of touched on it a little bit, but it was like really squirrely and like scattered because I really didn't think about it. I've been thinking about them being all of the people, the couples in Alabama who are tremendously affected by this ruling. But I haven't thought about it in terms of like how I relate to it, other than I am an IVF person. I am a person who is suffering from infertility, but I'm not in Alabama. I'm in Arizona. And although I do not by any means feel exempt from something changing in my own state to the point where it could greatly affect me, I'm in Arizona, and I'm not even seeking treatment here in Arizona. I'm seeking the treatment in California, which I will continue to do, I'm sure, because not only do I have, like, again, despite like my qualms with them when I had them, that doctor and that office are amazing because they got me to a place that I never imagined that I could get to twice. And so I will continue to seek their expertise, their care, moving forward. Also, they're in California, and I feel confident that California is going to fight for the rights of West Coast people. So that, and I don't know how to say this. I don't feel exempt from major laws passing that could affect my life. These things are happening all the time, every day, and thus far, there isn't anything that has directly and tremendously affected me that's happened here in Arizona. But that's not to say that it doesn't scare me. It absolutely scares me. As a queer woman of color, I feel really imprisoned by my own country because of the way that they're attacking like personal rights. And I'm gay, unmarried, and I am a female with infertility with no children. So not only am I concerned that they're going to fuck up something and reverse gay marriage to where I miss out on that opportunity, I'm also concerned that their ruling is going to come down the pipeline and affect other states like my own, and say, we're just going to hop in here and we're going to make it so that embryos are considered lives and children, and if one is destroyed, that is a criminal offense. If it's destroyed in any way, then that is an offense. Here's where it would get sticky for me, right? I'm not one that has lots of eggs or embryos on froze just waiting for something to happen. I'm not. I have severe diminished ovarian reserve. It's to the point where I may not ever have the opportunity to have anything on ice but sperm, because I can't get more than one egg at a time. So there's no point, right? I cannot imagine a situation where I have one or multiple embryos on ice. So I can't put myself in the shoes of those other people and couples who are in that position. Whether they have a child or children already and they don't plan to extend their family, but they have embryos on ice that they're ready to destroy or donate or what have you, because you would have had those options. If your family is complete and you have any biological property on ice, it is up to you to how you want to handle those. You can keep them on ice forever. You can donate them. You can destroy them. Or you might be in a situation where you don't have your baby yet, your take-home baby yet. You have your embryos on ice and you're trying, and you're in the IVF process waiting for the next step of transfer. And this new ruling comes out and the clinic stops all transfers, because the fear is this: someone could make a mistake. No, here are all of the possible ways that things could go wrong, which is why like physicians are scared, right? It is not guaranteed that your embryo will survive the thaw. It's not. So they could simply safely take out your embryo and prepare it for transfer, and it thaws and it doesn't make it. Whose fault is that? Who's going to jail because of that? Who's getting sued because of that? That's just part of the process. Not every embryo, even if it's been tested and it is a viable embryo or a healthy embryo, doesn't mean that it will survive the thaw. Anything could happen, right? There's that. There's the human error, right? In science. Someone could make a mistake and I'm not talking about someone just like getting into a place that they're not supposed to be and fucking up shit. I'm talking about embryologists who make a mistake, right? Unintentionally. Mistakes are made by everyone. And I understand, and you should understand also, that this is a very, very, very difficult, tedious, physically, mentally, emotionally, this is a very hard process to go through. And it's expensive. So one might think, who's going through it, there is no room, absolutely no room for error or for mistakes in situations like that. That's fucking not realistic. Mistakes happen, right? And I can say that now because I don't have anything going on. I don't have embryos on ice. I don't have anything that was lost at the hands of somebody else. I'm sure, I am 1,000% sure, if a mistake was made on my biological property, that I would be absolutely livid. Would I have strong feelings of wanting to sue and like flip the state upside down because of that loss? I absolutely would have those feelings. I absolutely would. But I feel like because someone else has done that in several someones, I feel like it's a few someones who have been so angry that they flipped the state upside down because of this loss. They have fucked it up for everyone else. And now everything is at a stop. Everything's at a standstill. I don't blame the physicians for wanting to pause all transfers and some people have even paused egg retrievals because an egg, an embryo, well, I'm not sure. I think it's state to state. I know for sure. I don't know. I think it's state to state what they consider a life to be. Whether it's sperm and egg coming together, forming an embryo, whether it's just an egg. I think it varies. But there are places who have completely shut down in Alabama because they're just terrified of what could happen. Naturally. What am I trying to say? I know I'm all over the place, but I'm pissed about the ruling in Alabama. I'm pissed that because of one circumstance of many circumstances, this isn't the first time I'm sure that something like this has happened nationwide, right? Like I said, there's human error in everything. Because of this particular circumstance, they have managed to flip that state upside down and totally throw a monkey wrench in reproductive services. And it is ruining lives. It is absolutely ruining lives. And it's like a wave of impact in a negative way. People are moving out of that state because this is how serious building a family is to people. Like it's a whole separate career in itself when you have infertility and you've been trying. Couples have been trying for years and have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to have a baby, only for something like this to happen and everything is at a halt because of this new thing that's come. Absolutely not. I absolutely would pack up my shit too and move. I would. I'm all over the place. I know. This is why I don't talk about it with I have not brought it up with anybody else. They've tried to bring it up with me and I'm just like, I haven't really ironed all the wrinkles out, but I don't understand why our government is so hell-bent on having their hands in our bodies. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Going back to me and how I'm thinking about this could affect me if something like this if something like this were to come to California or make its way to California and be put into law, right? Just hypothetically, because I don't see myself seeking treatment here in Arizona. I really don't. So if something like this were to rear its ugly head in California and go through, how it affects me is this. I chose not to have my embryo tested each time that I was able to get one. I chose not to have my embryo tested for genetic health because I only had one egg. And I felt like if I sent that egg off, first of all, or the embryo, first of all, for testing, it's minimum $1,000 per embryo to have tested, genetically tested. In my mind, it's like, I'm not willing to spend $1,000 to have my one and only embryo tested for it to come back and say not genetically normal. because then I was still going to ask for it to be transferred. Right? Like, in my mind, this is how I've been moving. If I had my embryo tested and it comes back not genetically normal, I wasn't going to throw it away. I was going to take the risk and transfer it anyway. Right? Is that how it went? Pretty much, because I took the gamble and not testing it and transferring it anyways, and it was either going to be genetically normal or not. I wasn't going to know, because this is my one and only chance. Not my one and only chance, but my one and only embryo at a time. And so I was just like, I'm not going to spend the extra money for someone to tell me that it's not genetically normal. What do you want to do? I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I feel like I had a legitimate reason at each time I chose not to have it tested. But now, in hindsight, I don't know. Well, in hindsight, of course. And then going through the 2 miscarriages, now I'm looking at it like, had I known that those embryos were not genetically normal, would I have transferred or would I have tossed them out? I feel like I would have transferred, to be honest, because over the past 3 years of me like gung-ho going for this, I was like desperate. Was I desperate? I think so. I think I was desperate. I had no tolerance for doubt, for negativity. I ran out of patience. I wanted my baby. I wanted to be done with all of this. And I was willing to do whatever to get to the next step as quick as possible. So yes, I feel like the way that the mindset that I was in while I was actively going through my cycles, had they come back and said, this is not a genetically normal embryo, I would have said, let's gamble. Let's roll the dice, transfer it, and let's just see. I would have. I really do. Now, in hindsight, though, what am I trying to say? I'm having such trouble formulating my words, which means that I'm going to have to write this. I'm going to have to journal this. I'm going to have to journal this and organize my thoughts, because I don't know. I just feel like agitated. I'm kind of not feeling well, bothered by all of this that's going on in the country and in the world. It's just a lot. It's a lot to fucking process. A lot of people do have their embryos tested because they have more than one, okay? You have more than one embryo, you get them tested to see which one is the healthy one, and you transfer that one. You don't go through this process 5 times. If you have 8 embryos, you don't go through this process 5 times willy-nilly, hoping that one is genetically normal. You don't want to have multiple miscarriages. You don't say that. Maybe you don't. Maybe you do. I took the gamble on saying, whether it's genetically normal or not, implant the embryo and let me have the opportunity to find out what I can and cannot take. Genetically non-normal, I hate saying that. Embryos that may not be genetically normal could either not survive, they won't continue the growth process, or maybe they do continue the growth process and you get all the way to the point of having a baby and you have your take-home baby, but they have an illness or they have a disability or they have something that's going on with them because of that chromosomal abnormality, okay? You never know what's going to happen with a genetically non-viable egg. It could pass. It could progress to a certain point and then pass. You could get your take-home baby and they have special needs. You just don't fucking know. And I'm not going to say that people don't want to take that route, because there are absolutely people who are willing to take that route. I was willing to take that risk, okay? But what I'm saying is, if you have the opportunity to have a genetically normal, a chromosomally normal, healthy baby, then you go for that first. And so those who have multiple biological properties, okay, they have them tested, they implant the healthy one. Now, the ones that are not healthy, they discard them. And so, because they know that they could not result in a pregnancy, or they could result in a child with special needs that will struggle the rest of its life. Like, you just don't know. And you don't necessarily want to bring a... See, this is what I'm fucking saying. To each their own, which is why people need to keep their hands out of this process. To each their own. But for the couple or the person who decides to discard the one or several embryos that have been tested and are not genetically viable, and they don't necessarily want to risk bringing a child into the world with physical struggles like that, would now be considered criminals in the state of Alabama, because each embryo, whether it's genetically viable or not, is considered a child or a life. The question is this: for those couples who may be forced to have a baby that came from a genetically non-normal embryo and has special needs, is the state of Alabama going to provide 100% of the care and therapy and equipment and everything that could possibly be needed for having a special needs child? Are they going to take care of that child that they forced this couple, this family to have? Are they? How is the state going to support and assist that person or couple or family with a special needs child that, back to me, right? So with my history of having diminished ovarian reserve, and clearly my eggs and embryos have not been chromosomally normal, because I've lost both of my pregnancies. One, I got a lot farther along than the other one. But this happens when typically, I don't know for sure, because there could have been another factor into my loss, but typically a pregnancy stops growing if there was some sort of chromosomal abnormality, right? So me having a history of that, I've had egg retrievals where the egg was, well, that's a different situation, but I've had situations where things just didn't survive. They stopped growing, they dissolved, they just did not survive. So with that being said, and known by my REI office, they're not going to want to touch me with a 10-foot pole. Again, this is hypothetically if this were to pass in California. My team wouldn't want to touch me with a 10-foot pole, because they know that there is a super high probability that my egg or embryo is not going to survive, and it's going to be their fault when it's not. Or maybe it's at a standstill where it's my decision, and the right decision for me is to let my embryo pass or to destroy my embryo, and now I'm the criminal. Crazy insane. You saw me wash my car. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is with baby. Interesting. I don't know what it is with baby, and every time she gets a bath, she like conjures up weather, okay? I haven't washed my car. I call her baby. I haven't washed my car in what feels like a year. I mean, it's been several months. And so today it was sunshiny, not a cloud in the sky, beautiful. And I'm like, you know what? I think the weather is over. I'm gonna give her a sturdy car wash. Go to the car wash. She looks good. I checked the weather 2 times. I checked it twice. And it said 1% chance of rain for the rest of the week. Both times. How about it looks like it's about to throw down? The sun is gone. There's clouds. It's dark. Like rain might happen. And I just washed her. I hate washing my car for that simple reason. Every time I think, it's the same thing. As soon as I think it's safe to wash my car, it rains. I don't have a garage. I don't have a carport. I don't have any protection except for trees. And trees are the worst because birds and leaves and shit and wind, right? And then it's the same thing with my balcony. As soon as I think it's safe to like put my balcony back together, fix up the backyard and clean it up and put some plants out there, then the worst tornado-like winds from out of nowhere come and rip my shit up, and it just looks awful. So here we are. What is this? Here we are. I just washed my car early, like a couple hours ago, and now it looks like we're about to get another like monsoon storm. It's so bizarre. Hate it. It better not rain. I know that. You can do all this cloudy, dark shit if you want to. It better not drop one little bit of rain. Better not. Because that was a waste of my money. They should just create or invent paint for cars already that you can't get it dirty. Self-cleaning paint. Shit. Self-cleaning paint. I'm so tired. Why do motorcycles do that? I hate that. Let's get out of here. I'm tired. My hands and feet are kind of cold. I mean, it's not cold. It's been beautiful the past week or two. Like in the mid 70s. Stop. But still, like, my hands and feet are chilly. That's just my thing, though. It has nothing to do with anything. My hands and feet are usually cold. Ugh. I know this is dusty. First step was to wash the outside of my car, because shame. It's been months, several months. The second step was going to be to vacuum out my car really good and dust down the dash and all that stuff, because I need to take her in actually to the dealer and have her serviced, and she needs to be looking decent before I take her into the dealer. But anyways, yeah, this irks me. But this isn't gonna get any better because my steering wheel is like I'm rubbing the rubber off of my steering wheel. So, I mean, I can clean the dust off and this will go away for a hot second, but my steering wheel is going to continue crumbling off, which sucks. I mean, I didn't think I was gripping so hard. Let's see. I don't really care for steering wheel covers. They can be dangerous if they're too loose, and they can be wildly ugly also. So, I don't know. I'm tired though, I know that. I keep saying that. But, oh, that's a cute little Mini Cooper. I don't really care for Mini Coopers, but that one is cute. Does it have stripes? It's all white with a cute LED white light. And then it has like those white stripes on the hood. Like a different shade of white. That's cute. I still wouldn't necessarily care to drive one. They're just too small. But they're cute for other people. I keep telling everybody, they think I'm playing. My rich lady splurge, when I strike it rich, my rich lady splurge is going to be to hire, I'm going to buy a brand new car, a nice luxury vehicle, and I'm going to hire a driver, and I'm going to like not drive. Because it's not fun anymore. It's wildly dangerous. I don't have the nerves and the patience to what are we looking like up here? I don't have the nerves and the patience to deal with this shit anymore, and it's just getting worse. Mama Dee. That's cute. Everybody's got their custom license plates. That's one thing about Arizona is we are good for a custom license plate, honey. I hardly see that in any other state. Like, nobody else cares. But here in Arizona, every other car has a custom license plate. And I think it's cute. I mean, it's fun, but I wouldn't do it. I'm a paranoid person anyways, so don't ask me. But I wouldn't do it. I don't want people knowing that's me, even though they can tell it's me. I don't want extra standout. No thanks. No thank you. I don't want people being like, oh, I saw you at such and such, blah, blah, blah. No, you didn't. That wasn't me. Yes, I saw your car. No, nope. That wasn't me. Could have been anybody. So, watch it say 30% chance of rain now. Even if we have 30% chance, that's high enough to where it's going to rain. Even a 15% chance of rain could be something. I don't know why I'm so uncomfortable. I gotta tell y'all what Jackie said. That helped me out quite a bit. Basically, I need to finish my rant from yesterday and clean it up and clean it up, basically. Jackie helped me process through the whole Alabama thing, so that's what we're gonna do. But I want to get home and get comfortable first. School is in session still. Yeah. I wonder what time they get out. 4:30? Isn't that late for kids to be getting out of school? Or are they out already? They might be out already. I think they get out at 3. Move. Crossing guards are gone. I feel like when I was in school, we didn't get out. Maybe we did get out at 3 o'clock. I feel like kids now, they have the option or whatever the schedule is to where they get out at 12, 1, 2, 3, like not the elementary kids, but high schoolers. What's their schedule? Do they get out at 12, 1, 2, 3? Like, I know it's not 3. They're well at Target, at Walgreens, hanging out at whatever by 3 o'clock. So what do middle school, I won't even say that. Maybe middle school is in at a certain time, but high school for sure. What are high school schedules these days? Whenever you want to get out, you can get out? Because I see high school kids just out all the time. And not like they're skipping class or anything, like waves of groups of them at different times. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe I just answered my own question. And when I was in high school, I think juniors and seniors could get out like an hour earlier or something. Why was that a thing? Juniors and seniors could get out an hour earlier for what? It wasn't necessarily for work. Oh, maybe it was just the schedule, having nothing to do with work. If you had work, you could go to work. But depending on how many classes you had, maybe you didn't have a full schedule and you didn't have like a last class or something that day and you got out early. I think that's what it was. There were some semesters where I didn't have a full schedule, so maybe I was out an hour earlier. but all of the rest of the kids had to be in there till class was up, which was last period, which was like what, 3 o'clock. I don't know, I'm making shit up. I don't know nothing about no kids these days. I don't know what they're into. I don't know what they do. I don't know what the kids are doing. I don't know. Aren't they about to get out again? Wait, March, April, May, spring break. Isn't spring break coming up? I think that's in March. Damn, really? Spring break already, and then the summer's about to hit. Summer break hits when? The fuck? When does summer break hit? I'm so confused because the end of school... I'm so confused. The end of school for me was May. April, May. Because that's when we graduated. And then after we graduated, we didn't come back to school. But summer... Do kids get out of school in May for the year? No, they do. Because August, September is back to school time. Yeah, they get out of school for the year in the summer. That's what summer break is. And then back to school, starting a new year, is August, September. I feel like a lot of kids don't start school until, like, the rest of the country doesn't start school until September. But over here, by over here I mean like Arizona and New Mexico starts August. And honestly, I think there are some schools here within Arizona that even start in July. Something crazy like that. But yeah, I feel like East Coast schools, they don't even talk about school until September. But we go right back. So the kids don't really get a break. Which is fine because every time I turn around, they're out of school anyways, so it's fine. Every time I turn, like certain schools do no school on Fridays or some shit, and they call it Teacher's Day, or I don't know. Yo, what's with this weather? There's a big hurricane looking ass cloud right over my building. Just waiting for me. Everybody chill out. So basically, this just happened. There's still, what does it say? Still a 0% chance of rain. But apparently there's a wall of dust heading this way, which doesn't make sense to me. In order for dust to be moving, you gotta have wind, and it's not windy. But something must be happening because it blew these strange looking clouds over here, but there's literally no wind. So I think I'm safe. It said from 4 to 5 is a severe dust advisory, and it's 4:30 and I'm not seeing anything, so we might get lucky. But how stupid is that, to just have washed your car and you're gonna get a wall of dust that comes through your hood? That's why my car stays ashy, because of shit like this. But better just wind and dust than wind, dust, and rain. Now you're asking for it. So it'll just blow off, I guess. Oh my gosh. Oh, Falcon. Falcon needs water. Everybody needs water. Falcon, Cindy. I think Big Boy needs water today. My Dracena back there probably needs water. Damn, I feel like I just watered everybody and they need some more. But especially Falcon. Falcon is looking so dramatic. Look. His old dramatic ass. Falcon, you're not that thirsty, honey. Like, relax. It hasn't even been hot. chill out. Just pitiful. Really quick, I want to show you my how my lemon trees are doing. My you know how I've got DW and I'm growing DW as a group from lemon seed. Check this out. Look at my lemon seedling trees. They're not even seedlings. They're trees. Look at that. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces going. I don't know about that little straggler if it's gonna make it, but I would like it to. We'll see. Legit ass trees. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's been a while since we've updated. Ugh. Girl, the way that comfy, baggy, ugly sweatshirt, pants, clothes fills me with comfort and relaxation and joy. It's like there's nothing but, well, there are some other things that are better than this feeling, but the way that I like to get my ass comfortable, oh, socks. I love you, socks. Oh, I just like to be covered up, cozy. Oh, it feels so good. And you know what feels even better is when like you have a really weird day and you just like, I just want to be at home. I just want to be at home. Okay? This is what I want. This is what I want, is to be at home. In my sweatpants and my favorite sweatshirt. And I'm here with it. I'm here with it. So we're here. Let me get my, just you. Ugh. So, also, mind your business. Yes, this is a new scene. I don't think I've had any, well, I have. I think in January there were some videos of this new scene. I don't think I really made too, oh, that plant needs to be watered. Hold on. This is what I do all day long. I sit here and I look at all of my plants and I notice somebody has a need every 5 minutes and I'm up and down, I'm up and down, up and down. But I just noticed one needs water right now. It's not going to be able to wait. You'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine until tomorrow. I just noticed that it looks a little sickly. It's just gonna have to wait until tomorrow because everybody else is sitting in their watering tubs right now. Anyways, focus, E. What do I want to say? Oh, I wanted to finish my thoughts on this whole thing with focus. This whole thing with Alabama and IVF, right? And how I was really, really struggling to like express myself because I was still trying to figure out what about it has me jacked up, right? So I'm talking to Jackie. I'm talking to her and I'm telling her how I'm feeling about the whole thing and how I'm conflicted and confused and I don't know what to say, I don't know what to think, I don't know how to feel. And basically it's like this. I think I mentioned this yesterday, but I have been approached by people who have heard this big headline, right, about Alabama versus IVF, who've heard the headline or seen the headline, and they know that a bit of my circumstances, my story or whatever, and they have come up to me and they're like apologetic or showing empathy or what have you, and they're just like, I'm so sorry about like, it's crazy what's going on and it must be so like upsetting because you're going through it and this whole thing, and the way that it's coming out doesn't even really make sense. It seems like, at least the people that have approached me about it don't know top from bottom, and it's like, okay, you know these two things that kind of are somehow possibly related, and you feel compelled to say something to me about this, and because you don't want to ignore it. And I get all of that. I get that things are happening in the world, and if you feel like wait, but should I feel a certain way? And here's how it breaks down. Basically, Alabama is going through some shit. I'm not in Alabama. I am of the IVF world, and therefore I can understand the absolute outrage and the fuckery that's happening over there in Alabama, because I understand the process. I've been through the process. I've paid for the process. I get what's going on. However, I'm not in Alabama. I'm in Arizona. More specifically, I am not an individual where my circumstances would even kind of relate to that, because I don't have embryos on ice. I don't have the privilege of having embryos on ice, and I'm in some sort of now weird limbo to where my family is complete. I have additional embryos on ice. I'm paying for them for the storage fee, have been paying for years for the storage fee. I don't really know what I'm going to do with them. Or maybe I came to the decision to discard, donate, whatever with them. Like, I don't have that privilege because I have such severe diminished ovarian reserve that whatever little nugget gets pinched off, it's just going to be one, and we're not putting it on ice necessarily. We're using it right away. So I don't have sperm and egg, embryo, and several of them on ice. I guess the standard, depending on the level of infertility the person or the couple is going through, has like embryos, plural, with an S on ice, anywhere from 1 to 2 to like 12, 15, like many of them. That's many, right? I don't even know what that would be like. I just I have never put myself in that headspace or that thought process of having embryos on ice and not knowing what to do with them. So there's kind of there's in that phase of the IVF process, there's a couple things that could be happening if you have embryos on ice. You create an embryo, sperm and egg come together, and you freeze the embryo, and you send it off for genetic testing, right? To see if it is a chromosomally normal embryo, which means a good embryo, most likely viable embryo, that would most likely result in a viable pregnancy. You have your one or many embryos or a few embryos of the bunch that you might have sent away to get testing, right? And depending on what you're what you're working with, you might have none of the embryos test chromosomally normal. You might have all of them test chromosomally normal. You might have 1 out of 15 test chromosomally normal. You might have half and half, okay? You get my drift? Typically, if you have multiple embryos, you're gonna wanna send them for testing, because the goal is to have a viable, healthy pregnancy sooner rather than later, without having to go through rounds and rounds and rounds and finding out the hard way which ones were good and which ones were bad. if you have the option to choose the best one to continue the process, you're going to do that. Versus gambling, and then let's say that you choose an embryo to transfer and it happens to be a chromosomally not normal embryo because you didn't test it, so you don't know, you're gambling. You choose one that's not viable. The next things that could happen are maybe the embryo doesn't implant, it doesn't stick. Maybe it sticks, but it doesn't continue to develop in cells. Maybe it sticks, it develops in cells, but it stops weeks down the line, months down the line. You don't know how far along that non-viable embryo is going to make it. There's a chance that a non-viable embryo will result in miscarriage, or perhaps an embryo that has a chromosomal imbalance of some kind. Turns out to you get your take-home baby, but that take-home baby could have some developmental issues, it could have health problems, you don't know. So everything is a gamble. Whether a lot of it is a gamble. Even if you choose to transfer an embryo that does come back chromosomally normal after genetic testing, it says it's all good, everything seemed to be good, there is also a chance that that embryo doesn't implant, it doesn't take, or it doesn't continue to develop for whatever reason. Maybe it's not the chromosomes, maybe it's some other factor in the process in your body that does not allow that embryo to continue growing into a healthy baby. Hell, maybe you get to 7, 8, 9 months, just about ready to have your baby, and something happens. That is just the fuckery, the gamble of pregnancy, natural or through ART. That's just the gamble that people who have not experienced infertility don't even realize how much of a miracle it is that you're able to get pregnant and have a healthy pregnancy and have a healthy baby. So many things have to line up perfectly in order for that to happen. And so the people that have not experienced infertility, they don't even know what it actually takes for all of these things to come together to have a baby. But there's a lot of risk, there's a lot of gamble, there's a lot of opportunities for things to just not work. So I circle all the way back to, you have this selection of embryos, you go for testing. You get half of them back as chromosomally normal, half of them are not chromosomally normal. The then next question that you're presented with as the patient is, what do you want to do with the chromosomally abnormal embryos? You always have options. This is your biological property, okay? You can do whatever you want with them, within legal and moral standards, right? But they're gonna ask you, what do you want to do with the ones that were not looking good, scientifically, right? You can either keep them on ice for whatever reasons you might have. Perhaps you go through and you transfer a few of your chromosomally normal embryos. They all turn out to be babies. So you've got 3 healthy babies, but you want a team of 5, and you have these chromosomally abnormal embryos left over. And maybe you say, just in case we run through all of our normal ones, I still want these other, the rest of them that we have on ice for whatever happens. You never know, right? Maybe you don't want to go through another egg retrieval. You don't want to go down that whole rabbit hole of getting a whole new set of eggs to create additional genetic embryos when you have these ones already here on ice. Maybe that's why you want to keep them, okay? And then, or you could say, I'm going to keep them on ice because of whatever reason. Like, I'll probably never go back and use them, but I don't know what's going to happen. Just keep them on ice. Or you can say, hey, I understand that these are not genetically normal embryos. I could not imagine putting myself, the patient, my partner, my family through the negative possibilities of transferring a genetically abnormal embryo, and or perhaps I do not want to go down the path and journey of potentially giving birth to a child that is going to have possibly development issues or health issues. That's not the path that I want to go down, and maybe I feel like I don't want to put that, that hardship on the child itself, bringing life to it, bring it into this world, knowing that it is pretty likely going to have some challenges, physical challenges, right? You say, you know what, please destroy the genetically abnormal embryos. You could say that. Now, I know for a fact that one of the options is certainly not keep the genetically abnormal embryos and donate them to someone else. That you cannot do that. Well, maybe I don't know that for a fact. Donation is different from, well, I don't know that for a fact. Is there some clinics out there who are allowing patients to donate chromosomal abnormal embryos to other people? And I won't even say like not strangers, because I really strongly feel like that cannot be a thing where strangers are donating embryos to other strangers that are chromosomally abnormal. That cannot be. Like I know they're not doing that. But what if I have like like good friends or good neighbors or good somebodies in my life that I know who are also going through an infertility journey, and we're willing and they're willing and everybody's willing to donate. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if that's a thing. So that's why I'm saying I can't say 100% that that's not a thing, but it just feels wildly irresponsible to do. But that's my own personal opinion, okay? I feel like that's not an option, so I'm not even going to say that that's an option. Keep the embryos for just in case. Keep the embryos because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what to do. You don't know what you want to do. You don't know what you believe in. Destroy the embryos. Those are your three options. Either way you slice it, until you make a decision, you're paying a frozen storage fee each month for those embryos until you make a decision to release your property. But it is your biological property. And it's crazy to use those words and talk about it that way, but it is your property, okay? Where was I going with this? So now what's happened is in Alabama, they've decided that these separate cells, egg cell, sperm cell, come together to make an embryo, and they develop and split cells and grow into a cluster of cells as your embryo, right? They've decided that cluster of cells, when sperm and egg come together and develop into a cluster of cells, they have considered that to be a life. They've considered that to be a child. And it is now criminal to end that life, okay? So with that being said, and again, what I just said about anything could happen, if they're saying that it is criminal to end a life, period, despite it being chromosomally normal or abnormal, a life is a life. So now if you're choosing the third option saying, I know that these are not going to result in the best circumstances for me, my family, potentially the child that could come of this, that's not the path that I want to go down. It's my property. I want you to destroy or discard, I'll use that word, discard the genetically abnormal embryos. If you make that decision, that's a criminal offense, because you are ending the embryonic lives, if you will, despite them being not viable. That's a criminal offense. And the facility, the doctor that allows you, that does it, they are also committing criminal offenses by ending those lives. Okay, that's one scenario. The next scenario is you've got your set of normal, safe, healthy embryos on ice. Maybe all of them were normal. You don't even have to worry about the non-viable ones. All of yours are viable, okay? The next scenario is you go to transfer, or no, the next scenario is this. You're getting ready to transfer your embryo. They have to thaw it. Is that how it goes? Yeah, they take it out to thaw before they transfer it. It's a frozen embryo transfer, but it's because it's frozen for a hot second, but they unfreeze it before they transfer, okay? So they get your embryo and prepare it for transfer, and it's something in the air, something in the lab, something wildly unknown affects the thawing process, and your embryo doesn't make the thaw. It doesn't survive the thaw. That's very possible. There could have been nothing wrong with the embryo. It just doesn't survive the thaw for whatever reason. That's a death. Is that a death? That's what they're saying. That's another way that an embryo could be destroyed, even accidentally. Like, it's nobody's fault. It just didn't survive the thaw. That kind of thing happens all the time. That's situation number 2. Circumstance number 3 could be, okay, it survives the thaw. They transfer the embryo into the uterus, and again, it was chromosomally normal. It's not the embryo. It could have been one of many other factors within your own body, whatever, that does not support the continuation of developing cells, multiplying cells to support the embryo to keep growing into the fetus and so forth. And so you have a miscarriage, or it just doesn't implant. Sometimes perfectly good embryos don't implant. Is that the end of a life? I mean, I'm not going to ask the question here. That would be considered the end. Okay, so transfer, it doesn't implant. Transfer, something else happens that ends up in miscarriage. That's nobody's fault. It just happens. Okay, that's the third circumstance. I mean, there's just, like, what I'm getting at is there's just so many levels, like onion levels to it. For someone who, or a group of someone's, a whole organization of someone's to come in and say, we're declaring this a thing, and if you fuck with that thing, you're now a criminal. That has everybody fucking shook, because we know it's a gamble. So now, back in Alabama, patients, mostly fertility centers, REI offices, they don't want to touch anything. If someone can sneeze and mess up the process in any way as it pertains to an embryo, and it is no longer surviving, or it is no longer developing for whatever reason, they could be in huge trouble. So nobody is doing anything. There are offices in Alabama that have stopped doing transfers or doing the IVF process period, which is fucking up people's lives, literal lives, right? There are some offices that are still doing like egg retrievals, but I think that is safe because they're not considering an egg itself or a sperm cell itself to be life, because they're single cells. Even though when they come together, they start off as individual single cells, they come together and they still need to multiply and divide and all the things. But because they're separate things, like whatever happens, which is whatever. But like all production has halted in this state, and people are literally like in the process when this ruling comes out, where they have embryos on ice. They just got their testing back and they're ready for transfer, but the office that they're at has shut down because they're scared of accidentally thawing an embryo and it doesn't survive, or dropping something and it doesn't survive, or transferring an embryo and it doesn't survive, because they're on the line for it, right? So they're not doing that. Or they've stopped genetic testing because chances are you're going to get maybe one at the very least that's not genetically normal, and it's like, then what do you do, right? Everybody's just scared to do anything. So these couples that are in the process, who have been waiting to get to this point, are at a standstill, and they're having to leave their state to continue the process because they have these embryos. Now, I don't know how it affects like donation. I don't know how it affects donation in the sense of like, okay, you've gone through the IVF process one or two or multiple times, your family is complete, like I said, you have these extra embryos, viable and non-viable, or just viable, and what do I do with them now? Well, in Alabama, you no longer have the option to say our family is complete, we don't need these anymore. You no longer have the option to say discard them, because that's criminal. I don't know how donation is affected, so I don't know if you're like, okay, well, since I can't discard them, then I'm willing to donate them. But hell, what if you don't want to donate? What if you don't want to, like, everything is an option. Maybe you don't want to donate your embryos to other people, like strangers that you'll never know, and like have, you know what I mean? Like maybe you don't want to have possibly living biological individuals out there in the world that you don't have anything to do with, right? I mean, that's an option that everybody has a right to have. Maybe you don't want that. Like your children having siblings that they'll never know or never grow up with because they're in Oklahoma or something. I don't know, right? You should be able to have the choice to do whatever you want with your biological property. Okay, right? So let's say that you're totally, you want to help another family, you want to help another couple, a person, and you have no problem with donating. I don't know how this ruling affects that. I don't know. But it's either you keep paying the storage fee forever and ever and ever, you donate them, which again, I don't know how this ruling affects donation, or you keep having kids until you don't have any more embryos. Like, it's just crazy, right? But yeah, there are couples who are in the process. There are couples who maybe aren't in the process and they want to discard, or they don't want to donate, or whatever, what have you, having to leave the state and go to other states to do what they need to do, which is, additional money also. It's just crazy. But circling back to like me personally and how I and processing through this, just straight up, it doesn't apply to me. It doesn't apply to me because I'm not in Alabama. I'm in Arizona. And even still, I'm not even seeking ART in my own state. I'm seeking ART in California. Okay? I hate to say this out loud, but realistically, there probably will not be a time where I have multiple embryos on ice, not knowing what I'm going to do with them. That probably will not happen. Just because I only get one egg at a time. And in the process, it's like we work with that one egg and we go for it. Like there isn't multiples. This doesn't apply to me because when I do get that one healthy egg and it survives the combination of sperm to become an embryo, I have never sent one off for testing to see if it was viable or not, chromosomally normal or not. I've never done that because my thought process has always been also in desperation mode, right? My thought process has always been, I have this one embryo and I would very much rather just transfer it with the gamble that I may lose it because it's not viable, that I may get a take-home baby with special needs, or I could have a very healthy pregnancy and have a very healthy child. Either way you slice it, because I only have the one, I'm just going to transfer it. Like I'm not going to spend the money to find out if my one embryo is genetically normal or not. Because if I were to do that and it comes back genetically abnormal, then my decision is, do I want to transfer or not? And with that information, I know that I would probably and see, this is where I get hung up every time. Knowing is like having a crystal ball, which sucks. I'm not into that. I don't want to know like my future. I don't want to know what's going to happen. I don't want to know blah, blah, blah. And so for me, this is difficult because knowing would probably be a battle between just transfer. Anything could happen. I've got hope. Maybe it's not. Maybe it'll be fine. Just transfer it because this is my only one. I would have to fight that with, I want a healthy baby. Can I handle raising a special needs child? Can I handle whatever the outcome is? And I think, do you get that? No, you don't even get that. When you send your embryo off for genetic testing, it just tells you if it's chromosomally off or not. It doesn't tell you, I don't think, up front what the problem could be, what the results could be, or like what kind of issues your possible child could have. It doesn't tell you that. You don't find out until you're so far along in your pregnancy and there's another set of testing where they kind of tell you like what issues your child might have. But you're still in the dark. So I'd be paying $1,000 because it's like $1,000 per embryo depending on where you are. $1,000 per embryo to have it sent off for it to come back and say chromosomally normal or abnormal, and you don't know anything more than that, right? So that would put me in a whole other realm of hell, deciding if I'm going to discard my one embryo when it took everything that it took to get to this one point. It's literally like starting from scratch and just like, we're not doing it. All of the blood, sweat, tears, money, resources, time, everything that goes into getting to this point and not doing it, versus making one of the hardest decisions to push that envelope even further, transfer a known chromosomally abnormal embryo, and just waiting to see what happens. This could affect my health. We don't know what kind of issues, if the pregnancy continues and survives and goes through, we don't know what kind of issues the child might have, which then it's like, if I make that decision, I'm now responsible for that decision all the way through, right? So I say all that to say, like, I've never tested because I just wanted to take the gamble and not know, and let my ignorance kind of take the lead on that. And that's a whole other different kind of thing, because I'm still left with the responsibility of whatever happens. I'm responsible for that decision. Blindly transferring an embryo that's not been tested. And I don't know, it's just a different feeling. For me, I feel more on board and more willing to sign up for the responsibility of having a special needs child if there was some sort of like organicness to the decision, just like in real life, right? Or not in real life, but in natural conception and pregnancy, you don't know until you know, right? And then so at that point, it's like, I guess when you get to the point where you understand that you could have a child with special needs, I believe you have options. I don't know, depending on how far along you are. You might have options. I don't know. Okay, forgive me. But when it happens naturally, people just have their special needs baby and they take care of their kid, and life just changes and evolves and adapts around having this child with special needs. You didn't have a crystal ball to tell you, oh, this is going to happen. What are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to push it, or oh, I'm not necessarily. It just happens, and you shut up or put up, or you know what I mean? You just do. So for me, the decision and the outcome seemed so like such a no-brainer for me to just be like, I don't want to know, whatever happens, I'll just roll with the punches and keep it going, versus me knowing and having to make a decision on what's right and wrong. So that's basically my answer as to why I cannot relate, because each time that I have a single embryo, I'm not going to test it. Even going forward, each time that I only have one single embryo, I'm not going to test it. If I have two embryos, of course I'm going to test it, both of them. Of course I would. If I have two different separate opportunities for a healthy pregnancy, I'm going to test them both, because whichever one is the chromosomally normal embryo is the one we're going with, because that's why we're here, is to have a healthy pregnancy and to have a healthy baby. That is the ultimate goal. I don't think anybody goes into this with the goal of, let me take this back. Let me slow it down. I think that there are people that go into this who say, I want to have a baby at all costs. Okay, that's fine. That is your right. Whatever you want to do. You want to have a baby at all costs, at any cost. That is your right, your body. I think there are people out there who are like, I want to have a healthy baby at any cost. That is your right. There are people out there who know exactly and feel very confident about, I I only want a healthy child. If anything that we do could possibly result in a child with development issues or possibly additional needs, we don't want to do it. That is your right. So I say all that to say is, I guess people are going to approach IVF, the IVF process, with their very specific need and goal. But I would hope that somewhere along those lines, despite what decision you make, is with the child in mind also, not just for your own selfish wants and needs of wanting a baby, wanting to start a family or like expand your family, not just your own needs, but also with the child that results from your decision. I hope that you would, couples or people would keep the child in mind also as it pertains to their decision. I would hope. So I feel like over the past 3 years, my approach was, I want a baby at all costs. That's what my desperation would say, right? My desperation says, I want a baby at all costs, and I want to be done with this, and I don't want to do IVF anymore. I don't want egg retrieval anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. I just want my baby, and I want to be done. That's what my desperation says. But in the back of my mind, at all times, there's this thing where it's like, I don't know if I'm willing to sign up for the special needs journey. I don't think I'm willing to willingly sign up for that. Knowing, having all the information, I don't think that I would willingly and knowingly sign up for the journey of having a special needs child. However, if it came to be where that's the path that we're on, that's the path that we're on, and I'm rolling with it, I'm doing whatever is needed to take care of my baby and love my baby and whatever. If that's the path that I've been put on unknowingly, or that's just how it is, then that's just how it is. But if I have a choice, I don't think I'm signing up for that. Does that make sense? So with all that being said, coming back to how this does not apply to me, it doesn't apply to me because it hasn't happened to me yet. It hasn't happened over this way yet. I haven't run into any issues like this yet. And so I'm not thinking about it all the time, right? But it is very scary to me because Arizona could turn around and come up with some shit that greatly impacts me. Maybe, but again, I'm not even seeking treatment in my own state. And I just feel like if they flip the state of California over and get them to do some shit that is totally not West Coast, we got bigger problems. That's how I'm seeing. If somehow some shit happens in California that is as crazy as what they did in Alabama, we have bigger problems. I feel like it would be more likely to happen here in the state of Arizona than California, and which still like is not necessarily affecting me because I don't have a doctor here. I don't have a fertility doctor here anymore. I started off here, but I don't now. But I struggle also with that. I mean, that is my reality, but my attitude is definitely not that. My attitude is I am extremely saddened and angry for the people that have been impacted or that are impacted by this ruling, because I fucking get it. I get it. I've been there, and I cannot imagine being affected by this. Like, I cannot. Like, It's devastating and it sucks. And it's outrageous because these people are like fucking with our bodies. They're fucking with our lives. They're fucking with our families. But more than anything, they're fucking with our bodies. This is our biological property. How are you going to tell me what I can and cannot do and like what? This has nothing to do with you. This has nothing to do with you. What? That part is just terrifying to me. They keep attacking who we are as people, who we are as humans. We're just trying to do what's best for us. Like, we should be able to just make decisions in every aspect for what's best for us. And it seems backwards because you have like your pro-lifers and you have your pro-choicers, and it's like the whole IVF thing falls more into the, even though we are discarding embryos, it's still along the lines of pro-life because we're promoting healthy children, potential children. Healthy. Because here's my biggest question. You force people to transfer genetically, chromosomally abnormal embryos, and they develop into living take-home babies that have needs. Who is going to support those families and raising and taking care of these special? Who? Is there something that I don't know about where there's like support systems for, like, is there something that I'm missing? Or are you still responsible for that life until it ends in every way? I don't know what I'm saying, but. And then like the choice of words. Here's where I was like talking, well, I had the whole conversation with Jackie, and she was following along with me, but the choice of words, right? Like recently I've been saying how I miss my babies, which feels like a weird piece of grief because it's like I never got to meet them, right? But I feel this like emptiness, like this like space, and I feel like an empty set of memory. Like I don't know how to explain it, but I miss them, right? I miss my babies. And just by me saying that made me feel like I could be a part of the problem by saying babies. Because they're saying that these embryos are lives, they are children. It pulls on like a whole other set of like emotional fuckery, right? Yes, they're living because they are living cells. There are a lot of things around us that are living, right? Plants are living. But nobody's going to jail if you chop down a tree. Cells are living because they're cells, right? And so I feel conflicted by saying things like, oh, I miss my babies, when they technically were not. I don't know. That's where I get fuzzy because I'm still like trying to like figure this whole thing out myself, because I'm still battling with the idea that I am a mother of 2 lost lives. It's hard for me to say a mother of 2 children because I don't have any children. Like, I didn't have any children and then lost them. Like, I didn't have babies and then lost the babies. But I am a mother of 2 lives that ended. But at the same time, it's like I wouldn't necessarily equate my miscarriages with, I don't know. It's hard. And like what I'm getting at is why it's so hard for me to kind of like express myself to outsiders who are not in the IVF world, who haven't a clue. It's hard for me to say these words to people who don't fucking have a clue, because it sounds like I am a pro-lifer when I say things like I miss my babies, or, you know, I am a mother of like 2, whatever I'm calling it. It sounds like I am on board with something like this crazy ruling where it's like cells are ugh, this is so upsetting. Just processing through it is upsetting. Make no mistake, I am definitely a part of the IVF community. I am a part of the infertility community, and I'm struggling to get my take-home baby, right? But at the same time, I am very, very much pro-choice. Whether it's an unwanted pregnancy and abortion comes into play, whether it's you have unhealthy, chromosomally abnormal cells that you do not wish to move forward with, you just do not wish to do anything more with, I am pro-choice. You should have the choice to do whatever you want, whatever you need to do that's best for you, for your body, for your life, for your lineage. I believe that for each and every like individual. I want that for me. I want the choice. You guys, like, if you've watched my other videos, you know where I get the most fired up when it feels like I don't have a choice. That's fucking like been my whole spiel with this infertility thing, is like I haven't even had the like option to like, I haven't even gotten the opportunity to have a child for this to be pretty much taken away from me. Like the option to be a childless person or be a parent, like I really have not had that because of just what's happened naturally. So it is absolutely maddening to not have autonomy over your own shit. And I was just telling her, like, I don't want to come off to anyone as like, I don't know why, I don't know what, if I'm saying anything or if anybody has taken it that way. Nobody has said anything to me, but I absolutely do not want to come off as being like someone who's like at all costs, doesn't matter if it's not going to be healthy or not, a life is a life, and it's a child, it's a baby. Like I don't subscribe to that. I believe that everybody should have their own choice and what's right for them, and there is absolutely no judgment. But for some fucking outsider to come in and say this is what you're going to do, having nothing to do with your shit, having nothing to do with your life, having not spent a dime to in this process to make things happen, to just come in and decide for you what is and what isn't, is bananas. It's bananas. And And, something that, Jackie was saying is like, it doesn't matter what you call it. It doesn't matter if you call it an embryo, a baby, a nugget, like I always say, a this, a whatever. The bottom line, it is technically life, because they are living cells at some point, right? Even if they're not healthy, they are living cells. But it doesn't matter what you call it. People are going to flip it and turn it and manipulate it into whatever the fuck they want to do, because they've already made their decision on that. So basically telling me, like, don't feel bad about saying your embryos or your babies or your kids or whatever it was. Like, don't feel bad about that, because it could be whatever. It could be whatever. I don't look at my pregnancies as like, they're somewhere in between. Like, I don't call them like children. I mostly call them like babies. But at the same time, it's like I'm not envisioning like a baby. I'm not envisioning a fetus, right? I called my pregnancies babies because it just gave me the most hope. It was like hope. Anyways, I don't know if I made any sense, but I feel really, really heartbroken for these people who are greatly affected and have to figure out their whole fucking lives to make this happen. But one thing I do know is that the people who are going through this, who are affected by it, they are some of the strongest individuals and couples and families ever. And I know this from experience. Like, by me going through the process, I have gotten so much stronger. My tolerance has just intensified. They're going to fucking figure it out. They're going to figure it out. They're going to reroute, readjust. They're going to figure it out. They're going to figure out a way, because that's just what happens in IVF. You just have to be that way. You have to have thick skin. You have to have plan B's, C's, and D's. You just figure out, because shit changes and happens, and you never know all the time. And you just have to be able to roll with the punches. Although this is one hell of a monkey wrench, they're going to figure it out. They will, because they're just strong. We're all strong. And so for me, it's like, although I cannot relate to the pain and like the shit that's going on, it doesn't mean that I'm not angry about it. It doesn't mean that I can't like scream and fight and do something or say something about this, because the more fight, the better. Whether it's applicable to me or not, like, we just need to we need to bind together to make things right. And this isn't right. So there's just, a lot of shit going on in my head that I'm trying to just grapple with, but that's that. Yeah. All right, let me stop talking. Let me shut the fuck up.